Let's talk about boring headphones. Because these Koss Pro4S are boring. But they're accurate. So if you're here looking for a headphone that's going to bring you absolute pleasure, like it's going to involve your whole body in the experience of listening to Mr. Fujiwiji Apathy. Mr. Fujiwiji's Apathy. This is only about 12% there. We're going to talk quickly about mastering headphones, mixing headphones, headphones that are for work versus headphones that are for play. I'd say all of those are for play. If you go to a recording studio, you watch someone at a recording studio and they are wearing any of those headphones except for maybe the focals, maybe walk out of that recording studio, they're a pile of shit. Those are for the end result enjoyment of the music after it's done. And headphones like this, and the Neumann NDH20, and to an extent, the Sennheiser HD280 Pros, are there at the conception of the music to make sure everything's fucking fine, so that when you put those on, you could experience the flavors, the 31 flavors of Baskin-Robbins / headphones. So these are under $100, and they're comfortable. More comfortable than the 280 Pros. I'm going to reference the 280 Pros a lot because those are $100 and these are $90. So it's like, well, why buy these when those exist? Well, these are more comfortable. They don't have that death clamp. They are fucking light. They're Koss light. Now, Koss doesn't make many good closed-back headphones that I've tried. So I'm going to do my best to explain why I am okay with these. The end. Super light, aluminum. I think it looks like aluminum. That looks like aluminum. That's aluminum. The edging on this, and this is really nice plastic. Cups. We have a foldability, and it'll turn this way. So you could either store them like that, or you could store them for some reason like that, even though they're so small that doesn't make sense. Like, why would you do that? I guess you could bend them in half. This is not the original wire I'm using currently. I've got them plugged into the Rebel amp. If we take out the original wire, it is simply a detachable, Koss detachable. Right off the bat, you should be interested in these headphones. 3.5 to 3.5 auxiliary cable, essentially. And it comes with a coiled one, which makes perfect sense because when you're doing mixing and mastering, you're usually on a mixing console, which you're standing in front of. What the problem is I have with this particular headphone, or this particular cable, not the headphone, let's unplug that. You get, by the way, plugs on both sides, so you can choose if you want to be on the right or the left. Someone should tell Joe Rogan that. Apparently, Joe Rogan on his podcast, where's Sennheiser 280 Pros? Remember when I was screaming about the left and right not being indicated, and everyone was like, well, just obviously the wire goes in the left. No one told Joe Rogan that. He wears them backwards. So these, he could wear them whichever wire on the side he wants. So here's the problem I have with this cable. My amplifier, this is a 2-foot desk. I'm sitting with my stomach against it. I'm going to put these headphones on. That's it. This needs to be like, you need to expressly stretch the shit out of this when you get it. Because it's just good. Like, that's, I mean, it's fine. If you're plugging it in here, this is fine. It hangs down. You can walk away. You get a little stretch. But the fact that it's brand new and I can't even do that without it's just weird. Let's put that on for a second. Now I'm running the Rebel amp. I'm running the 789, and I was running the tube for a bit. My dark voice, my modified dark voice, to try to assess how big a sound change happens between the amplifier qualities. Because we all know the 789 is perfect. For lack of a better word, it's perfect. What's coming out of it is what's going into it, but louder. So depending on how good your DAC is, and the Geshelli Labs Enoch 2 is pretty fucking solid, you're just getting that, but louder. And this being the perfect scenario for a studio monitor where you don't want any coloration, you don't want to mix music on beats. You don't. Because Beats are a bassy fucking headphone. At least the old school Beats are. The new ones have actually calmed down and they're almost like real headphones now. But in the old days, if Dr. Dre mixed his music on Beats and it was like thumping bass and he was turning that bass knob and went, wow, the bass is thumping. When he took those beats off and put on any other, accurate headphone, the song would be bass light because he turned it up a little bit and it was like boom, boom, boom. And he's like, oh shit, that's enough. So it actually does the opposite, so that anything that's not Beats doesn't sound like it should in the artist's mind. You want flatness. I want more low end. And then if you put on Beats, there's a lot of bass, and you put on a bass light headphone like the 2000X or something, it's bass light. You want that middle line. You want Neumann NDH20s. Those are my headphones, by the way. The Neumann NDH20s are the ones that I would consider the equivalent of what I use for this, but 5 times the price. These serve a very, very strict business in the front, business in the back persona. This is the 50-year-old guy running the recording booth, and you and your friends are all being idiots and laughing, and he's been there since 1993, and he's just like, get the fuck on with it. Like, he just puts on his Koss. He knows it matches everything on his board. He knows his mic levels and everything, and this is his work headphone. If we're talking about alternatives, yes, Sennheiser 280 Pros will do that. And they'll seal better. And they won't be quite as comfortable, but they'll also be more fun on a tube. And that's sort of like, I'm trying to put this in a way that doesn't sound like I'm ragging on these completely. 280 Pros are a better headphone than these. They're just not as comfortable. And they have an attached cable, and this doesn't have an attached cable. And those are heavier somehow than these. These are somehow lighter. I guess that's that Koss breeding, which, by the way, Koss, please stop putting the Pro4AAs on here. Put the Pro4AAs on here, that's fine, but the Pro4AAs is not the logo I would represent. I think the person who loaned them to me burned them when I sent them to him. The cup is a D, by the way, which is nice because our ears are shaped sort of like that, so that's another part of the comfort. They're not super big. They're only a 2-knuckle, but it doesn't bother me at all. My ear sits perfectly in this. Up and down, they weigh nothing other than the cord yanking on it, which I'm going to remove this cord. And then I'm going to plug this in on the right-hand side because I can. Where's my hole? Hold on, I'm trying to find my hole on video. Oh, it's going inside. Oh, it locked in so good. Now, they're not hard to drive. I've got the Rebel amp on low. And about 12 noon is loud. And I'm annoyed by a lot of the songs I listen to because they're poorly recorded. This song, the Apathy song, is not great. If I shuffle through, Smashing Pumpkins. Actually, this particular one is not that bad. Got good imaging. Like, This is the headphone your teacher wears to grade your paperwork. If your paperwork was music, your teacher would put these on because they can't afford the Neumanns, and he'd be like, B minus. Billy gets a B fucking minus. Good amount of low end. Like, they are so boring because they don't step even a foot away in either direction from neutral. They're just like, here's your bass. Here's the treble. Are you enjoying the treble? Then I should turn the treble down because you shouldn't be enjoying it. This is strictly work. You could wear these out. You could absolutely throw these on your head, change to a better cable than this coiled one, or at least a more functional outside cable, and just wear these on the bus. Then you'd be fucking fine. It would be better than trying to run with the 280 Pros, even though those are 30 decibels of attenuation. But these fit. These look, for Koss has made a headphone that actually looks the part of like a studio headphone. It's got the exposed wire edging or the exposed metal machining. If that's, everything makes me question if it's metal. It's metal. It's got to be metal. It's got these metal inlays though. But it's so light. The pads clip off. You can see the driver in there. There's a plastic ring in here. You could legitimately try to change pads. I see absolutely zero reason to. They're not memory foam, but once you've had them on a foam block for like 3 months, like I have, because I've been ignoring every bit of work I've had to do, they're perfectly comfortable. They're perfectly comfortable. They're not exceptionally soft baby-like. They're just, these are so work-related. For $90, they're absolutely, you get them and you stick them in your job and then you're done. Like, I got these headphones. These are for doing work now. Helsing OVA dog shit is what's playing, by the way, right now. Let me get to the good part. If I didn't tell you how they sound on the tube, by the way, they get a little bit too shouty. Unlike the 280 Pros, which open up and become this wide, amazing experience, like one of the greatest examples of what a tube can do, 280 Pros, going from solid state to tube. These just get sort of like you feel the top end get turned up a bit, and I don't like it. These remind me a little bit of the Shure 1540s. Those were a $500 set that were similarly boring. And I keep saying boring, and you're not sure if I mean that in a bad way or a good way. Kind of both. Because it saddens me that these are not a headphone that I would put next to the Sivga P006s, or, you know, the CB1s, or the, what else is good down here? Takstar Pro 82s, or the Cooler Master. I mean, those are all closed-back headphones that add this creamy excitement to music. But these are not those. These are not designed to be those. Some of those are gaming headsets. The Pro 82s have fucking bass sliders. The Sivgas are wood. You're never gonna find a wood headphone at in a mixing studio. Those are all headphones for pleasure. This is what was I gonna say? This is a glory hole at a sperm bank. You're there to do this, but it's not for fun. You're there to do it because you need to do it. These are the headphones that are I'm not going to repeat what I just said because I just realized how terrifying it was. But yeah, because that's what these are for. These are work headphones. Stop fucking around. If you're listening to music on these, it's because you're assessing the music, not because you're there to dance and sing. You are very boring or a professional. Like, I'm a professional music listener. That's literally could be my fucking job title. That's why my wall is filled with things that I would not, except for maybe the focals, I would not assess music on. Like, actually, like, anything on that wall is a no. I'd go whip out my Neumanns, and those would be the ones like, all right, let me actually listen to the mix now. Okay, no, the bass sounds good. There's nothing over. As long as they sound good on a neutral set of headphones, I know that I can rely on the flavors of other headphones to take over. So in reality, in my reality at least, these could be the most important headphones, or something along this line, something that is this neutral would be your assessment headphone. And then once you've listened to a track on these, you can go, I know exactly what's going to happen. I'm going to hear them on my 909s, and it's going to be wider, and there's going to be more low end. Or I'm going to hear them on the HP3s, and it's going to be wider, and there's going to be more low end, because those fucking headphones are almost the same. Or the Sundaras, where they get open, and there's no bass. It floats around there. These tell you the true. And for $90, that's a hard thing to come by. Because even talking about the 280 Pros, I said the 300s did a better job at that. And I think I take these over HG 300s, over the more expensive Sennheisers, because they share such similarities. Putting your head in this is like being in a treated room. If you feel the whole process of, I put my head in them, it dulls everything down. It's not noise canceling, but it's like a treated room, and it's not 280 Pro treated where you hear your tinnitus come back. It's just enough. It's just enough. This is a just enough headphone for $90. I hope my sound demo can actually cover it. But Zeos, you didn't talk about how they sound. Flat. In every sense of the word. Flat. Like, it doesn't do anything. Like, I've heard Nine Inch Nails' Terrible Lie a fucking thousand times, and it's like, it's the most generic sound possible, but it's not bad. It's not a bad sound. So saying a headphone sounds generic doesn't mean anything, because there are no generic headphones except for neutral mixing mastering headphones. And that's what these are. And that's how they're marketing them, and that's how you should proceed to purchase them. If you go to school for this sort of thing, if you're dealing with video editing, or which is probably more likely than audio editing, if you're dealing with video editing and audio editing, this is perfect. This is a perfect fucking headphone for you. And they're well built. Like, they're Koss, so they're cheap too. They're cheap and well built and fold up, and you can replace the cable. That's really all that matters in the world and schemes of these things. By the way, this is metal and really has good clickability and has this little ledge you could use to adjust, which I find very, very useful. A lot of times headphones, you end up two-handing it, but here you could just go up and be like, or. So, I mean, that's like a little, that was on there. You want to know how what fucking Koss is brought? That was on the Pro 4 AAA, AAA. That. And they're the only company that does it. Like, none of those headphones have it. I always end up at the Fostex, I could sort of like reach up and grab. Why not? What's wrong with you guys? What's wrong with all of you? Why can't you just have that notch so that I could adjust it more easily? There's big things coming from Koss. The Koss sent me this. Koss sends me everything. Koss loves me. And I want to love Koss, but I'm going to be honest, these have a very limited market share. No one's buying these for pleasure. And they say studio, and they fucking mean it. But there should be things coming out in the future that are a little bit more wall-worthy. Let's put it that way. Wink, wink. So, sound demo's in the description. That wallpaper's in the description. She's like generic. Well, she's a little bit big, but she's like a generic anime girl. It's like, it's fine. I don't even know if she's a character. That's perfect. No frills, except for the frilly dress. Link to these in the description. Link to all the other headphones I talked about. Let's always do that in the description. Sound demo, hi-fi guides in the forum. I guess I have to put these on hi-fi guides and put them under neutral. And if someone was looking for fucking neutral under $100, this is it. There's nothing else under $100. I think I've heard about the Shure 440s. I know the 840 is like a $200 set. That's usually my recommendation. So these are less than half that price. So, and here we are. So anyway, that's it. I'm sorry it wasn't like not everything is spectacular. And these things treat me like I'm a professional. They don't jump out of the box and are like, hey, you're gonna love me. Everything I do is gonna be amazing. No, everything you do is accurate. The end. And I'll see you tomorrow.